going on, guys? Oh, sorry about the noise. Now let's fix this. What's going on, guys? How are you doing? Good day, night, noon, whenever you're getting this message. Still a little cold, so we're trying to stay warm. Let me tell you a quick story about the temperature in here. So the central heating air hasn't worked for a while, a couple of years. And, well, one of the things that happened is this coat that we're wearing. It's like pretty much the only piece of brand new article clothing we've bought for ourselves in years. Everything we buy is pretty much secondhand. Or if we ordered it from a secondhand site and it came brand new, we had no idea. So how else are we staying warm? There's a portable heater here. I'll tell you how we got that heater. A friend, he's one of our friends. We help him pick up the trash door to door here. And one of these nights I was like researching online. What are the symptoms of leukemia? I was so worried. Because like a week before that, the single space heater that was here, we gave it away here at the local gym. Same gym that we got the basketballs for. One of the people that we're closer to, she comes up to me one day, and she was just telling me about the improvements that they need to make. One of the improvements they need to make is like the heating in a particular area. And I was like, multi-million-dollar company. They'll figure it out. And then she was telling me more about how troublesome it was. And I was like, they're all adults. They'll figure it out. But then I said, wait, hold on. Where is the area, again, that the heating's not working? And she goes, it's in the children's daycare. So I said, I'll be right back. I drove home. I got the heater that I have and gave it to them. Right, so I was freezing for like a week. So I go in and buy this jacket. I made that as an excuse. And I thought it was still extremely expensive. But the reason why I bought it initially is the price tag said something like $309, brand new, right? And then it was on sale for like $79 plus tax. I didn't hardly have any money. And I thought to myself, well, I could sell it. So I buy it, right? And I take the jacket home. And then I was thinking some stupid things to do with it, as far as like how to make more money off of it. I didn't like what I was feeling, so I returned it. Well, it got really cold, and like I said, I was researching those leukemia symptoms, right? So my buddy comes, same thing. He's like, hey, my buddy's on the way to do the trash thing. Same thing. He's like, it's been so troublesome. I'm like, whatever. You work for a company, you'll figure it out. And he's like, this and that. Why else is troublesome? I'm like, you're an adult, you'll figure it out. And then he comes and says hello. And he's with his son. He's like, my son's going to help me out. And this is when we saw the tooth infection and stuff like that. So we were not feeling good at all. But anyway, so he was here with his son. And I was like, give me 1 second. So I put my gloves on. We start picking up trash. So we finished picking up trash. And he goes, I have to give you something. But you can't say no. And I'm like, what? First of all, I'm not 10, right? Like, here's an ice cream truck. Here's some candy. No, man. Like, what are you talking about? I'm actually going to say I'm going to accept something, you know? And then he's like, no, that's all. He's like, no, it's a good thing. I can't really explain how it came all the way around and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, hold on. I was like, first, let me say two things. If whatever it is good and of good, that's all I could possibly accept. And second thing is it good? He goes, I think you'll think it's good. I said, okay. So we walk to his car. He opens the back, and there's a brand new space heater. Brand new. So the one I gave away was used. I ended up with a brand new one for helping out. And so that's how the place is fairly warm. Okay, so that's how we're getting into this moment. By the way, you see this here? What's the phrase? If your right eye's not doing any good, take it out. Or don't let one of the eyes see what the other eye's doing or whatever. So it's covered. Okay, I know it looks pretty messy. So, all right. So that's how we get to right now. That's how we get to right. And it's cold enough for me to wear what I'm wearing, so I'm not going to take it off. Um, so this video is about a recent Facebook post I made and a comment. And so first thing I want to say is, if I've been watching your videos online, and and you can also tell when I'm inspired, and there's any inclination at all that you'd want to get to know me on a personal level, I want to offer that. Why? Because one thing I notice is when I'm looking at the stuff that I'm talking about and sharing on YouTube, what other people don't see is how candid I am and how much I'm sharing all the time on the private Instagram account. And why would that Instagram account be private? Well, two reasons. One reason is because, well, and always, I'm always looking for ways to increase wealth so I can share wealth. So I put it on private, and I set up this Patreon a while ago to where it's like, if you want to subscribe to this private account, you can subscribe to Patreon and you get access to it. Anyway, no one's subscribed yet, so whatever. There's room. Yeah, and the second thing it's private is because, shortly after a lot of these unearthly, amazing things started happening. Of course, some people might say, who cares if you sound crazy? But at the time, I was like, I'm just going to keep it private with people I've been in connection with for years. So that's what I want to also. Second thing I'm saying is, if I watch your videos, if I'm inspired by you and you want to get to know me at all, send me a message on the Instagram account, the private Instagram account, and I'll let you follow. Because I'm super candid and talking about, just allowing the experience of myself to be shown in the digital world so people get to know me, but it's not really showing up in the YouTube videos. So, about this video being about recent Facebook posts I made, you can hit follow on me there too. Maybe I don't know, just try. And a comment on a video because, what got me thinking about the last video I made, the last one, right? Spouse, family, a shield of love and a parallel of Exodus. How do you put it? Perhaps in two ways. Maybe not knowing what love is and knowing what love is to you. Just those two things. One of them by themselves is already very, very heavy. If you're a person or a people thinking that, I don't know what love is, that sucks. And then if you're a person that's like, I know what love is, very well, that can also suck, right? Like, why'd I do that? Must be in love or whatever. In other words, what I'm trying to say is just one of them on their own is very, very, very heavy. And there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot. So I'm going to give you a personal example. The last committed relationship I was in, I only do committed relationships. And they're not very many. Okay. But the last one I was in was about 4 years in length. It ended, obviously. But one of the things from one of the perspectives, my ex-girlfriend at the time, or my girlfriend at the time, was very insistent about coming from their perspective, like, I'm loving you. Why isn't this working? And it can be heavy, right, for both people, right? And the same thing if I was doing the same thing. I'm loving you. Why isn't this working? I don't really want to go into the statistics and all that stuff about, the U.S. and divorce rates and all that stuff, but you can tell, like, this heaviness is it's breaking a lot of marriages. It's breaking a lot of the potentialities of marriage. And so maybe a simpler way to look at it Something like, well, Christopher, why do you care? What do you care about as far as committed people and love? It might sound something like, look, the problem is that maybe one of the problems is the fruition of bad marriages and then good people not making good marriages. That could be a problem, right? And then it could stem from this idea of love. I'm loving you. Why isn't it working? Like we said, right? And so, or is it? So there's that one. Did I give it to someone? Maybe someone's borrowing it, but I have the 5 love languages somewhere. The one I pulled out is the 4 agreements. Do you kind of see where I'm going? If you're not familiar with those books, it might sound something like a person's particular love style. Let's say there's 5, but we'll use 2 for example. Let's say one person's love style is proximity, just being close. You don't really have to do much. And then another person's love style is being in a relationship and then having their alone time. Like the other person respecting their alone time. Those are both forms of love. That's wild, right? That's wild. Because you have one person that's just like, look, I'm gonna feel like you love me if you're just right here. You don't even have to do anything. And I'm gonna love you forever. Pretty crazy, right? And then you have the other thing where it's just like, person's just like, I know that we're in a loving relationship. And I know that because even though we could be next to each other all the time, I'm by myself a lot. And we let that space happen. So I can love you forever. It's so wild. So wild. Okay, so now we're going to relate this to like, well, the Facebook post I made. And then someone asked me about the recent video. And it's not just a someone. Like this like a someone is also a representation of like a lot. Just like anyone. Representation of knowledge, lack of knowledge. Love, lack of love. Empathy, lack of empathy. Understanding, lack of understanding. Transparency and secrecy. In a way, everyone has that about them. But they can be inspirational and motivational and make a big difference in the world, because that's kind of the choice, right? It's just like, you can choose to do bad or good, and you choose good. And sometimes it seems bad at first. I get it. And so the question that came to mind was something like, let's say I have a child, like a son or a daughter. And then my daughter, let's say, says to me, oh, Dad, I'd like to spend some time with you. Now, the question that was proposed to me was structured like this. If your daughter says that to you, I'd like to spend some time with you, and you as a dad say something like, you know what? I know you want to spend time with me, but here's the thing. I made this video. Anytime you want to spend time with me, just watch this video. Because if you truly love your daughter, why would you do that? So what's loaded in that question is already potentially very fragile and vulnerable. That's a very specific question. If your daughter told you, I want to spend time with you, and you as a dad said, if you want to spend time with me, just watch this video instead. It's so good. And from the outside perspective, it's like, why would you do that? So I'm going to get to my own version. But first, let me just do a quick answer. I wouldn't. Tried something like that when I was 15. I didn't know how to leave a boyfriend-girlfriend, junior high school relationship at the time. I didn't really like the girl after a while. I don't want to say why exactly. But when you experience something, anyway. So I was like, look, of course I love you. If it ever changes, I'll let you know. I was like, no, yeah, I was like 15 when I first came across this kind of situation. The most wrong thing I did there was two things. First of all, stay in a relationship, and number two, saturate and use the word love in that way. It sucks. And so in some of the healing I did, I actually ended up reaching out to this person like 10 years later and apologizing. Yeah, and then I thought that was it. Then I had to go back and do some healing on my own for carrying that memory. It sucks. So that's like I can tell you objectively, I'd never do that. All right, now let's make the question and answer a little bit more responsible. I'm talking a little bit faster because of the time on the video. So let's just make this a little more responsible and interchangeable in perspective. Okay, so first, two more perspectives to the daughter. The first thing is when the daughter says that, okay, what a father might say is, when? You want to spend time with me? When? I do too. Because then that starts to really position the perspectives, like physically in a way. Because the next question could be something like, oh, you want to spend time with me? Where? I don't know if you've ever grown up in split households or with a busy parent. Or the parent that loves you and maybe they're just at the grocery store, right? And you call them, I want to spend time with you. Oh, where? At home? At the park? Or maybe something like, I want to spend time with you. Oh, okay. Well, explain. Like, what do you want to do the most together? Or if you're the parent, you get the call, you're like, oh, are you okay? Like, where are you right now? Are you at home? Are you with mom? Are you with dad? Are you at school? Dad, I want to spend time with you. I do too. Where? What do you want to do most? Where are you right now? Now let's just make this a little more perspectival. And well, how would you say? If you've never experienced this, non-propositional in a way. It'd be something like, oh, gosh, I haven't been home in so long. I've been away on a business trip for years, right? Or let's say in the olden days, I just came back from war. I just landed. I got a call from you. And when I see you, I want to give you a big embrace. A parent might say, that sounds so good. Remind me, what you mean again by embrace? Are you going to hug me here? Are you going to hug my head? Are you still tiny? Are you going to hug my knees? I've been away. Kind of forgot what it feels like. Maybe you can remind me. Give me something to look forward to. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing is make it a little more responsible as far as perspective, but as far as what your child might ask. Okay, so let's say you're close to each other now, right? You're like face to face, and forget all the other responsibilities that a parent might have, or if they have other siblings or a spouse or wife that might need their attention too. Who knows, right? But anyway, so your daughter asks, "Oh, Dad, I want to spend time with you now." Or, Dad, I want to spend time with you right now. Right now? I do too. What do you want to do? Are you okay? Again, the questions apply, right? Like, what do you want to do most? Or, Dad, I want to spend time with you right now. Right now. Me too. But I'm not too busy. But if you really want right now, could you tell me why? Oh, I love you. Okay. Let me drop everything then. Because you're telling me you love me too. Right? Or it's, I'm doing the dishes right now. I'm cleaning the dog right now. Right? I'm setting up security cameras right now. I'm talking to some random salesperson at the door right now. Could you hang on? I'm changing a diaper right now. You want to spend time with me right now? I do too. But to me, you look okay. You can wait a few minutes. Oh. So there's a parallel here, right? You ready for the parallel now? The parallel is this. It goes both ways. So a parent could say, I'd like to spend time with you right now. My dear child, my daughter or my son, I'd like to spend time with you right now. And the child might say, oh, you know what, Dad? Here's a picture of me. Anytime you feel like you want to spend time with me, just look at this picture of us. Remember those good old times? Remember those times when I broke a toy and you fixed it? Just, here's the picture. Anytime you want to spend time with me, Dad, look at the picture. Now, the way it was loaded, when we first presented it, you can start to see. That goes both ways. I don't want a picture. Just wanted to hang out with my kid. Okay, so we keep it going. But the kid might also say, you know what, Dad? I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I know you want to spend time with me right now. So I'm going to mail you a picture of us. And you can look at it on the plane or on the boat or on the drive so that you have something to look forward to when you finally get here. Because I want to spend time with you too. Or the child might say, you want to spend time with me right now? Or you want to spend time with me? Where? Where do you want to go, Dad? Where should we meet? Or what do you want to do most? Or could you explain? You told me you're going to give me a big hug. Are you going to carry me on your shoulders? Are you going to carry me with one arm? I haven't seen you in a while. All right. So you get the idea. Now let's coagulate both perspectives and make it present time, where they both have expressed they want to spend time with each other. And then they both say, right now. Let me ask you this. In the entire history of humans, has a child ever said to their parent, no, I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to spend time with you right now. Has that ever happened? And a parent might say, you love me. I'm your dad. Why would you say no? So if you have a nuclear family, or, like everyone lives in the same house, at least two parents, yeah, that can be really painful, right? Because you're right there, always next to each other. But if you don't live in a nuclear family, let's say like myself, or you grow up in split homes or foster care, unofficial foster care, and you hear that, it's more painful. Both ways. What do you mean my parent doesn't want to spend time with me? What do you mean my kid doesn't want to spend time with me? Has a child in history ever said that to a parent? The parent says, I want to spend time with you. I want to spend time with you right now. Or me, let's do this. And the child says, no. That ever happened? Yeah. You see? And so, I start off with the books and stuff, the love languages, right? Now let's say, finishing up where we started, I am loving you right now, says the child to the parent as they're hanging out. This is my way of showing love. The child says, I'm, I don't know, making you food or building toys, whatever. Or I'm over here while you're over there in the same house. And it could be a small house. I am loving you, Dad. I like to be under the same roof with you. I'm an introvert or whatever. Right? Or maybe your parents an introvert, maybe your dad's an introvert. And the kid just want to meh, and just cling on you all the time. And the kid's like, I am loving you. You see? And they're in the mix. But those are things to remember there, right? You can qualify these things. And you can understand that qualifying it can come from both perspectives. I want to spend time with you too. So do I. Right now, are you okay? Where? Do I need to send you something to remind you of us? You've been away for a while. Or let's talk about what we want to do the most. Because that gets really important as you get older, right? If your kids get older too, you have to be like really specific. If your parents get more busy, you have to be like really specific. Some of the best people I know, their calendars are filled. Filled. It's wild. And my dad, one of my dads, when he was making so many good changes in the country, so many people he was responsible for, he loved me. I know he did. Still does. Loves me a lot. I would have to schedule with him. It sucked at first, but then I was like, look, he's making time. I told him what I wanted to do, where, when, and of all these jobs and people in the country that rely on him, he goes, okay, I'll make this time for you. And when we hang out, a bunch of people are calling him. He's like, whatever. And I call him. He picks up right away unless he's busy. If he's too busy, blah, blah, takes 2 seconds. Doot, doot, call you right back. He's still like that. It's great. So you see, we're coagulating really what love is, right? If I have my own type of existence of it, let's say I'm a human parent or child, right? This is my world, and this is how love exists in it, and there's your world, this is how love exists in it. Then you have to go something like this, bloop. Oh, right? Where, when, are you okay? Right? Like, do we need to figure out how to remake this again? Right? Or have you been away for a long time? It's wild. So then what does it look like for someone like me moving forward? All right, so we're talking about the video and this video, but then as far as the Facebook post, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see what I'm talking about. I basically said something like, is what I got enough? Is what I got enough? In other words, if I know exactly how it is I love, how I can understand love, and I put it out there, is it enough? This is a question everyone should ask. Is it enough? Does any one person have what it takes? Has any one person had what it takes to allow the whole world to understand that they love them? Has that ever happened in history? Or worse, has someone gotten close? Really close. And then the story ends with lacking of the love that they were supposed to give. Like something happened to them. Has that ever happened? How about this? Some people might say, right, if we have those that believe in God and those that don't, some people might say, if God is with you, yes, one person can show the entire world, with God's help, how to love, share, create, and accept love. Right? So until we get there, my question, because of what I'm struggling and I post on Facebook, comes back to you, anyone watching, which is this. In the entire history of human history, especially humans that know of God, has there ever been a human that ever lived to not only say, no, I don't want to spend time with you, mom, dad? Has there ever been a human that did that to God? Of all people. Okay, you're a kid, you're an adolescent, or you're an adult, that whatever. You say you don't want to spend time with your parent. Okay, whatever. Squabble, squabble. Has there ever been a human that did that to God? Nah, God, I don't want to spend time with you. Now you see how deep this is. Now you see how deep this is. So in the last video, right? Like I said, I'm putting up a shield. It's made of love, discernment, and focus on what I love and what I want to protect. Why? Because when things crash on the shield, you see your enemy. Because you're not out attacking. You put your shield up. Whatever crashes is coming at you. And like I said, if I have one shield for now, that's what we got. People will come, but it takes at least one person. One person say, I'm going to stand by you. I'm going to spend time with you. This is how we're going to do it. This is where we're going to do it. We can plan on this together. Let me give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, okay? I was here driving down the street, come back home from the grocery store. And I saw the shiny silver Mercedes SUV in the middle of the road. I was like, whoa. And then as I got closer, the lights started blinking. I'm like, oh, the hazards are on, okay? And I'm driving a shiny red sports car, okay? So I pull up right behind this Mercedes. It's a busy street. Two questions. Can you even imagine the number of people and cars and drivers that passed right by us? Can't even count. So many. And not only that, can you imagine how many people got so close to us, almost hitting us, and honked, made noise, blah, 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 honk, 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 instead of stopping to help us out? Many. So I said, right, put one shield up, they'll come. So I was like, whatever, right, about them. So I get out of the car, right, we talk. I'm like, hold on 1 second. I park, I go over there, I come back. I'm like, let's do this. I'm going to start pushing it. He's like, oh man, he's like, oh, it's too heavy. And then next thing you know, his girlfriend and his girlfriend's dad come, right, and it's still too heavy for us, but we're like, we're barely getting it. We needed to go maybe 300-400 feet just to get it off the street, and another like 800 feet to get it off, like into a parking lot. So as we're trying to get into a parking lot, there's a slight little driving ramp like this, yeah? So we hit the ramp, and then it's like, and it's just so heavy. And I am not weak by any means. I'm quite strong. And so it's me and 3 male adults, right? And we're just, our muscles are quivering. We're trying to push this thing up a hill. And we couldn't. So you know what happened? Next thing you know, we hear people, other men, hey, what are you guys doing? You need help? We're coming. Give us a second. And all these guys started coming, right? Next thing you know, there's just like close to 8 of us. We're just like, just a few people made what was completely unmovable. Moved. Safe. Togetherness, companionship. It happens. So when I said they'll come, they'll come. It's super real. It happened. So finishing up, right? Going backwards. So super real happens if you put your shield up, right? You defend what you love. If you're the only one for now, you're the only one. Talking about the Facebook post as far as struggling, like, do I have enough? Do I got what it takes? Because people have said no to God. So do I have what it takes? Everyone should ask that question, especially when you're talking about love. And then talking about on the video, the types of love that you permeate and manifest. Do you got enough? Is it the right thing? Is it placed? Where, when, why, how? Are you okay? Do you need a reminder? Right. Staying warm. Sometimes being cold because kids matter more than you. So here's the last thing I'm going to say on this video. If you think I'm on an NBA team, I'm not. But I'm pretty good at basketball if you watch the videos, right? Okay. So here's the thing. I enjoy doing that so much. I can dance, I can play basketball, but every time I put up a basketball shot, okay? This is relative to a Greek archery term. Got that from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Every time I put up a basketball shot, I'm taking aim at what I love doing and what is good for me. And I'm putting it up there, trying not to miss. I'm actually trying to make it, right? It's much more than just I'm trying not to miss. No, I'm trying to make it, swish, get that awesome sound, right? So every time I put up a basketball shot and I make it, that's anti-sin. That's a Greek archery term, to take aim and miss, sin, okay? So every time I make it, that's anti-sin. That feels incredible. But also every time it's up in the air, I'm dealing with rejection and success every moment. Anyway, why am I telling you this? Because I made over 45,000 basketball shots since May of 22. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but that's not the only reason. Why am I telling you? Okay. Let's say if I ever join an NBA team or whatever. Let's say it's time to play a 5-on-5 basketball game. Well, if you really like basketball that much, you would play. You get offered, you'd play. But what else? If you want to be part of a team, if you really care that much, then just showing up and making noise. What would you do before you actually start the game? You'd practice. I would practice. I would make over 44,000 basketball shots and counting as part of my everyday workout because it's good for me. And if ever it came time to me to be part of that team, day one, I'm ready. Because what happens? You recruit someone who's a team member. You're not trying to teach them how to be a team member. And this works, finishing up where we started, relationship to marriage. Me personally, for the most part, if I got married, I don't want to make a wife. Sorry. I desire to marry a wife. Same for her and her idea of a husband. And in the basketball metaphor, you're part of the NBA draft. They don't want to draft a high school, college basketball player that doesn't practice. Oh, but you showed up at the draft and you wore the jersey or whatever, or you have a video talking about how good you are at basketball, but you really don't. You're not even fit. And you're there wearing the jersey, talking about how good of a basketball player you are, and you're at the NBA draft Not going to pick you. They'd be silly. They want to draft an already player, a Chicago Bulls team or whatever, Lakers, whoever your team is. They want to draft a Chicago Bull. They want to add a Chicago Bull to the Chicago Bulls. They want to add a Laker to the Lakers. They want to add a Celtic to the Celtics. They want to add a Utah Jazz to the Jazz. I want to be your basketball team player. I want to spend time playing basketball with you. Okay, I do too. When? Right now. You can be a basketball player when you grow up. You see? Or no, I don't. I don't want to be. I don't want to play basketball with you. Why? I love you. You love me. What's the problem? Oh man. So anyway, we'll finish up here. It scales up, right? Because what if you can play basketball? What if you can cook? What if you're strong enough to defend your home and someone else? What if you've gone through a lot, so you know how it is to connect with people that have gone through a lot? What if you read a lot? Right? What if you only watch and try to digest what is good for you? You watch no porn. You eat virtually no meat. You pretty much make all your own food. No drugs. Not even alcohol, not even wine. Cigarettes every now and then sucks, I know. No masturbation. Clean browsing history. Proven. Yeah, look, the apartment record. I'll stand up for a neighbor. And still. And I know God's with me. But still, I ask, do I got what it takes? Do I have enough? Now, why should someone like that, with God on their side, even ask that question? Because what if you don't? What if you never ask yourself, do you have enough? Do you have what it takes? That means you think you do all the time. And until the world is the way it should be, no, you don't. No, you don't. So that's why I asked that question. So you want to take it to the basketball court? Want to prove it? I'll wreck you. Want to take it to reading? Quantity and quality of books? 34 books in the past 10 months? I'll wreck you. You want to go through trauma and how many parents you know on a parental level? How many families and foster families you know gone through that? I'll wreck you. Why am I saying it like that? Because I want to wreck you? No. Because I've been wrecked. And I'm not wrecking you. "43 minutes. 10 more minutes longer than the other video. It's kind of a good talk though, right? Should we keep going? We'll make a part 2. I'll stop this video, then we might make a part 2. Hey, you guys like my messy hair? Okay, we'll see you in the next video.